so much for joining us today. It's a very exciting time for Dell Technologies as well as the world itself. We're experiencing tremendous growth in areas of digital transformation that really is changing and shaping the way that we do things. As we look to see what is the Internet of Things, it's not just a concept out there. There's actual activities and different things that are happening. Sensors are changing, data is changing, connectivity, as well as the compute and storage side of it. And together, all of these elements generate a huge amount of information that is relatively useless unless that information can be made into something meaningful. And that's where analytics comes into the picture. Analytics takes that information and puts it into useful snapshots and different sets of information that will actually drive business solutions and further drive the transformation. As we look at how IoT is transforming the world, it's giving the physical world a different kind of atmosphere. It's changing what we know and what we see today into kind of a huge globe of digital information. And this information itself, if we take it and evaluate it, will actually transform the way that we do business, not only today, but how we're going to be doing it in the next decade to come. With that, I want to show you a quick video.
We are wondering what is happening to the world. Everything is changing.
The very idea of human being some sort of natural concept is really going to change.
Our bodies will be so high-tech we won't be able to really distinguish between what's natural and what's artificial.
Inside our own heads is the most complex arrangement of matter in the known universe.
You might ask yourself, can we get to be superhumans?
So as we look at the business itself, we're transforming the business. One of the key questions that you must ask yourself is how do you go about developing and deploying solutions that actually will enable your business to transform? As we look closer into it, what we find is that there's new applications, smart devices, that those drive this customer engagement. And how can we better service the people that we're designed to sell to, the end customer, as well as you as the customers that support and supply that information. When we take this, each one of these pieces generates a huge amount of new information. In the past, cars and vehicles, they have computers on board. They gather detailed information about what the driver is doing and how it's doing. But that information is never evaluated by the companies that own the cars. It's never evaluated by the users that drive the vehicles. And it only gets downloaded or used when it was brought into the shop. What we're doing today is enabling smart vehicles so that information is delivered in real time. Same thing with jet engines, same thing with airplanes, helicopters, factories. As we look forward, these different devices that are doing different things, if we can evaluate the data that they generate and turn that data into real-time analytics information, we enable technologies like predictive maintenance. We enable the ability to handle and deliver predictability about not only those vehicles, but the analysis turns into a set of information that can be built into dashboards and easily consumed by executives, by leadership, and by you guys to make your businesses more powerful and stronger and more agile. And as we continue, this agility, it's continuous. It won't stop. It's no longer just a starting of a revolution, but we're in the midst of this revolution, this industrial 4.0. It's shaping and changing everything about what you guys are doing today from a business perspective and how we're going to take and apply that. What I'm going to introduce you now is to how Dell Technologies and what we're doing to help you guys and enable you to actually embrace the digital transformation that will make your businesses much more successful as we gear up and move into the next year, the next 2 years, the next decade. Right now, all of us know that applications drive a huge amount of business value. But how do we take that and make it even more intelligent and more agile? We converge it into a platform. As we look at business enhancement, we want applications to run more easily. We put them and create a cloud environment. But the cloud environment may or may not always be available. So there's other things that Dell Technology brings to the forefront that actually make this a reality. We turn the clouds running on infrastructure. That infrastructure is designed to build and enable and make more accelerated, both an on-premise or private cloud and actually a public cloud, depending on your business and your business needs. Next, we bring into this the layer of users. Now, users themselves really have needs. They could be the end user, they could be the users of the company that need the information and the data in order to enable both your companies to grow and develop into this age of digitalization. So Dell Technologies starts with this area. And I mean, last but not least, security is very, very important. And these technologies that we have enabled and put together by the combination of EMC and the other companies that Dell Technologies has kind of integrated into a single union are really shaped to address all of these areas. The application side of it, the cloud, the infrastructure piece, the users, and finally the security piece. So we all know that Dell itself as an entity brings together PCs. Everybody knows Dell has been a big PC manufacturer. We are now able to take and add on to that a full portfolio of Dell Technologies. EMC brings to the table a very strong case, a very strong balance of technology around the infrastructure piece. VMware, it's also a part of the family, brings in this aggregation between the infrastructure and the cloud by enabling virtualization technologies to both handle what's happening within the infrastructure and have replication, as well as further services that are provided within the cloud. VertiStream, which is another one of our core technologies, allows cloud-based applications to be more agile, faster development, faster updates, faster technologies that are now delivered to enable your end customers and yourselves to do better business, more agile, and adjust to changing times, changing technologies, changing trends. Pivotal, which is another piece of the Dell Technologies portfolio, adds an additional layer, specific to mission-critical applications that can't sit within a on-premise data center, that need to be available in the cloud and available under any circumstances 24/7. RSA, SecureWorks are two of our other companies that bring about the high level of securities that really will enable and protect everything that we've talked about, from the users, the applications, the cloud, and the infrastructure. We have other components that further enable the way that we do business as a large entity with you guys themselves. And that's our Dell EMC Services branch, which will help you guys with deployment, installation setup, and other projects. And then our Financial Services branch that will help to make it a reality so that we're not just doing CapEx immediately and upfront. Dell Technologies in general really brings about a full kind of picture of how digital transformation will affect your companies. And the way we look at it, edge to core to cloud. When we dive into IoT and how IoT takes a hold of these different pieces, We look at things like efficiency. How can we make a factory more efficient, more reliable? Make sure that production lines are running more frequently. Breakdowns are less time. Output is higher quality. These result in customer satisfaction. If you're a customer buying from a factory, you get more on-time delivery. You get better quality of product. Right? These features themselves help to ensure safety. Right? Machines that don't completely fail, but actually are shut down before they need to be maintained, for example. In addition to these things, we see other areas where this information acquisition and analysis that's put into place will actually create new revenue streams that you may or may not have known existed before. The data was there. It just wasn't evaluated. It wasn't pulled together and then summarized into a way that can actually deliver a method by which you can generate new revenue streams. Now, how do we take and make IoT happen? It's kind of a complicated story. It sounds easy, but really it's not. It's highly complex. There's a huge amount of data. What do I do about analysis? How do I protect it? And how do I take that information from an IoT and really enable my workforce to bring my company to this full age of digital transformation? So, our promise to you is really to bring about ROI, to deliver it faster with Dell Technologies. How do we take this and do IoT? One is we simplify the complicated. Next step is we look at the data that's being gathered and we filter and ensure that the data that we are gathering is useful and meaningful to the business and will actually drive businesses, drive business processes, drive the transformation that we're talking about. Now, as we design and we conceive and work with you guys to actually make IoT a reality, we design from the beginning with analytics in mind so that we're not making huge changes to an idea. Right? What are the business drivers around why I'm doing IoT? Whether it be building management, whether it be the factory automation, predictive maintenance on production lines, asset management and asset tracking within a warehouse that's producing things, fleet management on transportation logistics. There's so many aspects of things that we can do and help to bring these technologies to you by using these analytics to generate information. And lastly, but not leastly, security. And you'll always, hear about security from us. You've got to build security in from the beginning. It must be part of the design. There are cases where, for example, in Singapore recently, a few months back, we had one of our telcos that had home cams that all had the same username and password. They were hacked into. They were no longer delivering images to the cloud, but it actually became a DDoS attack and shut the whole network down. They weren't secure. So to design security in, you want to block information that's being pushed at the right level so that it never gets into the cloud to cause any challenges. So security is very, very key to these things. So if you don't design in a less complicated way, useful data, architecting for analytics, and keeping the data secure, then IoT won't be a reality. So our goal to you is to help you with that process, help guide you through the digital transformation that makes an IoT changing the way that you guys do business. So a lot of you will ask yourselves a question, right? Where do I start? Many things that you need to consider, right? 400 plus different IoT platforms are out there. Right? How do I converge operations technology with existing IT infrastructure? It's a little bit of a culture clash. You've got the practitioners that are on the floor with the operations, the OT side of the house. You've got IT guys that are set in the way that IT happens. IT is no longer a separate part of the business. The way that IT will transform, or IT transformation, as part of your business, will actually converge because everything that IT is doing is related to how a business runs. And when we're setting up IoT, we're putting edge analytics in place. We're putting things like the ability to not only aggregate data, but make real-time decisions at the OT level. And that information plugs directly into the business on the IT side of it, But it turns into meaningful information through analytics that's immediately recognized by the executives and by other folks within the company that really need that data and information to make intelligent decisions. Where do I go next? What's the next technology I can develop to make my business even more robust? Other places to think about are kind of data security and governance. It's important to understand what the regulations are, what the governance policies are, and how we handle that securely. Standards themselves haven't been hugely defined, but there is a structure to work with. Data volume, variety, and velocity. We talk about sensors that gather, let's say, temperature information. It may be pulling the temperature from 4 different sensors in this room every second. But if the temperature doesn't change, why do I need to send all of that information to the cloud all of the time? So how can we take the way that we capture that information and transfer what's necessary into the cloud for storage, for other purposes? And then last but not least, if you can't define a return on investment, it's very challenging to go to leadership and ask for budget to do an IoT project. So we look at all these areas and we help you by simplifying that. We've got an entire network of partners, both on the software side of the house, as well as the system integrator side. We've designed blueprints that really help you to understand clearly, if I want to do fleet management, how do I do it? These are the things that we've done. So, in addition to that, we have the hardware designed, and it's much more unique than really what's out there and what's been seen before. We have a whole new portfolio of edge devices that are built, that are entire industrialized. They're built to handle things like temperature, no airflow, things that make the edge piece of that a reality without a concern for environmental conditions that may have been prohibiting the way that we have this in the past, and service and standards. Now, as we look to go beyond simplifying that, how do we take and make data useful? As you see here, the pictures of a giant waterfall, Niagara Falls, huge amounts of water. It really is representative of all of the data that we're currently gathering, but it's not all useful data. So there's a huge amount of data points, there's a huge amount of different endpoints and different sets of information that's coming in. We don't know how much storage we need to take and make use of that data. We don't know how much compute requirements we've got. These are challenging, right? Transportation of that information, right? And then wildly diverse different data types. Our approach is really simplify this by making easier the method by which we aggregate that data. We normalize that data so that it can be consumed and integrated into a larger analytics engine. This in and of itself reduces the amount of information that's stored and simplifies the way that that information is processed and turned into meaningful, useful information that decisions can be made. And again, these are key technologies, key development, key approaches to making IoT successful for you guys, for making IoT a reality in digital transformation so that you have the ability to continuously adapt and change to the way that the market and technology is changing around you. So as we look at a little bit deeper into architecting for analytics, right, what do we need to do? Right? So we, again, as we talked about the different technologies that come together from edge to core to cloud, it's important to have a descriptive, diagnostic, both predictive and prescriptive methods by which we handle simple things that are happening around you, right? Diagnostics that tell you how well something is working or not working, but having that information in real time as opposed to historical information, you know, really cuts to the chase and brings back to the beginning the ability to handle problems that could occur as they occur, not waiting to learn about it after the fact. So what do? We go beyond stopping things and investigating to starting things, right? Start things good. If you have the confidence in your security posture, you can take a risk and reward kind of equations into your competition can. And these are key to the world of IoT. This understanding about security really disables threats, actions, and enables businesses and organizations, because now they have this information right at their hands. So, go from, again, stopping us to why IoT is so complicated, to how can we take IoT and make it a reality. Now, as we look at this Dell Technologies expanse, what we find is this huge amount of these companies that we had talked about and what they mean for you. And what we do here is from the edge to the core to the cloud by bringing these technologies into place. These technologies themselves have breadth and depth of the companies that have been doing this in the best in the industry for the longest period of time. We have the largest, widest range of portfolio to really enable your business at a single location. It's no longer about 4 or 5 different companies competing. You come to one company as a solution guide, as a solution presenting company that can give you the guidance on how to do this in a simplified way. So when we look at things like the edge pieces we talked about, we have this new design, these new industrial PCs, embedded PCs, gateways, laptops, and tablets that are all highly ruggedized. And by the way, they're all on display over in our booth over here. I think you guys, some of you may have stopped by. If you haven't, please drop by afterwards. I'll be there at the next break, and as well as when we close this evening. And we'd love to share with you and showcase what we're doing. When we look at the core side of it, this is where the Dell EMC comes into play. We've always had top of the line, best of class servers, storage, networking components, and now converged and hyper-converged. These technologies will take and enable your businesses to grow faster and handle the changes that are coming. As we move over, before I talked about Pivotal, it's a kind of revolution behind the benefit of working with Pivotal. Think about applications on your phone, right? And typical business applications. Phone apps are kind of cloud natively developed, quickly and agile, right? Updated sometimes daily, sometimes weekly. This phone application really has brought the agility, and that's happened through companies like Pivotal. And why don't we take that and extend it to applications that are supporting your business to running, to help them make more agile changes on a faster note and have them delivered to the employees and to your customers in a way that actually makes the business much more able to handle changes or things that need to be adjusted, whether they be security related, function and new features, or even market changes and market drivers. RSA technologies themselves, right, is from a security perspective really brings about a lot of different things, right? Threat detection and response, identity and access management, governance and risk and compliance, as well as fraud detection. All of these are security risks that our companies look at, as something that could threaten the business or make it more difficult to really do business well and recognize revenue. SecureWorks is definitely the best of breed for managed security services offline. They're often in many of the articles when we read about data breaches that are happening. You'll see them on, published on the news websites, whether it be a BBC or a CNN or some of the other websites globally. You'll find that they're really at the core and the forefront of really evaluating and understanding what happened and how to solve that. They're best of breed in the world. This is another of our technologies that really exists and is out there. Depending on your business and how we can help you, it definitely brings about enterprise security. Next is VertiStream. Now, VertiStream is a little bit different, but this will help enable IoT strategies to actually move forward and more agile. If you're looking specifically kind of at a public cloud infrastructure as opposed to an on-premise or a private cloud, VertiStream comes in, unlike other public clouds that are built for a general purpose use. VertiStream was built from day one to run mission critical applications securely for everybody's enterprise grade SLAs. And no other public cloud actually has this as an offering. VMware is something I think a lot of you guys are familiar with, but now that VMware is part of the Dell Technologies portfolio, the Dell Technologies companies that are actually bringing these solutions to you. We're able to offer the breadth and depth of virtualization, server virtualization, desktop virtualization, cloud virtualization and applications, and doing it in a secure manner. So think about things management, think about things health and security. VMware enables these technologies. So from core to cloud and the edge, we find different areas. We look at services that we offer as well. And these services really can help you by identifying the best use cases that are specific to your company. Not everybody's IoT strategy is going to be the same. But it's also not so confusing that everybody has to look at different types of software companies. Everybody can do this. We have a full network of partners that we can help enable you with Dell services. These partners are proven technologies. The IoT services can help to design these infrastructures and these use cases really on a data science level and data engineering level that can take and make that IoT a reality for you. Excuse me. As we look at Dell Technologies and why, right, we're unrivaled in the field. We have experience in OT and IT. We integrate these operational, pieces of technology. Think factories, think pumps, oil and gas, chillers and food storage, transportation, and then think IT. They've been deeply involved in both sets and both industries for a very, very long time, 15 plus years in some cases and over 30 years in other cases. Another reason to look to Dell Technologies is the way that we operate from a scalability perspective. We have planetary scalability. You may have an operation that's running here, but you may be supporting factories or other locations throughout South Asia. We're there as well to help you. We're there to support you in those countries. Now, I wanted to leave you guys before with a couple of use cases that really talk about it. Here's one example of an IoT implementation that we've done with, there's a 150-year-old maker of industrial pumps. They've got 150,000 assets in the field. Dell Technologies has digitally transformed this company by turning their instrument equipment in the field from guessing about maintenance and cycles and predictability into an actual science where it happens in real time. It happens at the edge on a machine-to-machine level perspective. What they realize from the actual implementation of IoT is they can run remote diagnostics. They have a clear concept of their assets and their locations. This helps loss prevention. And lastly, the improved product development cycles. By understanding failures and predictability within existing pumps, they're able to design in changes that really make these products even better as their next generation products are designed. Really, really good stuff that's happening. We have a huge number of different use cases, as I mentioned before, blueprints that really help to support strategies around how your companies can take advantage of IoT. So with this in mind, think of different things. Now, I'll give you an example of a recent success that we've done implementing IoT around cold storage. So think retailers, right? Think the largest retailer in the United States. They've got some challenges. They have refrigeration equipment that's storing a variety of different things: fruits and vegetables, dairy products, frozen foods, fresh foods, and their chillers have a variety of different things. For example, some stores are 20 or 30 years old, and some are brand new stores. Not all the equipment is the same. We were able to introduce one of our key global partners into this account that actually is able to recognize and understand every kind of chiller equipment, from a 30-year-old model to a brand new model. There's no rip and replace. Currently, people walk up that work within the store and they're checking a temperature gauge that they see, and they write it down on a clipboard, and Now it's operating normally. I checked it at this hour. Why not automate that process? By automating that process and tackling energy consumption and energy reduction, they implemented a solution with our IoT gateway that actually drove real-time analytics and fully automated that process. What they found was not only did it reduce the energy, but they're able to now predict when machines may fail so that they can get the proper maintenance. For example, one chiller starts to consume more energy to maintain the same temperature level. So if you're checking temperature every few seconds and you're evaluating it, and you see over a period of 4 to 6 weeks that now it takes more energy to keep the same level of temperature, let's say 18 degrees or 15 degrees, right? Something may start to have a problem down the road. In the past, they've recognized that either somebody noticed that a machine had failed and wasn't keeping the right temperature, or a customer noticed and informed them, hey, this particular chiller has failed. All the food in it is warm. If it's dairy product, what? It's all spoilage. It's thrown away. You can't sell bad or spoiled food. They found that by implementing this automation, they're able to extend the life of their chillers. They're able to reduce their spoilage costs by in the neighborhood of $2 billion annually. And this is across about 4,000 stores. Their energy reduction was about 18% annually. And their maintenance cycle extension on their product for these chillers went from, instead of 20 years on a chiller, to 25 to 30 years. Better productivity. Now, another result that wasn't considered but actually benefited was users, the customers, the consumers of the goods are actually happier. They're getting better quality of product. They're not having to deal about things that may be spoiled or things that may be controlled, like dairy yogurt or milk that may be warm in some environments instead of chilled at the right temperature all the time. So a combination of making a single solution that was scalable was key to making this success. Now, if I looked at all the companies that I work with, the software companies, probably 50 or 100, I can do that, I can do that. These guys have been doing it for over 12 years. Okay, they did it all across the UK, and then they were brought into the largest retailer. And now we're scaling them because it is an easy solution. There's no coding. The code is already built. The analytics and dashboards are already built. So our strategy is to actually take and work with you guys to introduce system integrators that can actually help that happen. To introduce you to the right software companies that aren't designing or coding today, but they have proven technologies that have been deployed. And you can find this. This is actually a case study we've got under blueprints at the Dell website on cold storage. So it's an excellent example. Many of the POCs that I have done in the past really took a great deal of time. They typically started off in a concept phase, and 9-12 months later, people are still trying to figure out what happened. If you use the right technology partner that has predetermined software that works for those environments, you turn a POC that could be 9 months into one that took 6 weeks. When you go to scale that, you're now replicating that success. You're scaling it very quickly. The POC with this company started the last week in October. It finished the first week in December. 50 stores. By January, they rolled it out to 1,000 stores. By March, the entire North American continent, all of Canada and all the United States. So the ability to do that is the ability to recognize a return on investment and actually create a greater level of agility and profitability for your companies based off doing it right. We're here to help you. We're here to help give that information to you, share that with you, and guide you into working with us as a partner through digital transformation. So, when you're considering IoT, think big, start small, and scale fast. So anything that we can do to help that, make that a reality for you guys is really what we're all about. So with that, thank you guys so much for your time. Really appreciate the opportunity to speak. Khop khun mak.